It was June 16, 1996, the Great American Bash, and WCW was about to witness something revolutionary. Rey Mysterio Jr., a 21-year-old phenom from Mexico, was making his debut against Dean Malenko, one of the best technical wrestlers in the world. Many fans had never seen a wrestler like Mysterio before. He wasn't just small, he was tiny by wrestling standards, barely 5 feet 6 inches, and weighing less than 175 pounds. But from the moment the bell rang, he defied every expectation. Malenko tried to ground him with holds and slams, but Mysterio's speed was almost supernatural. He flipped, spun, and launched himself off the ropes with an energy that left the audience in awe. Though he lost that night, his performance turned heads backstage, and within weeks, he became a rising star in WCW's newly formed cruiserweight division. Rey didn't wait long to make an impact. Just a month after his debut, he faced Malenko again, this time for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Malenko, known as the Man of 1,000 Holds, was a technical genius, but even he struggled to contain Mysterio's explosive offense. The match was a back-and-forth battle, but in the end, Mysterio shocked the world by pinning Malenko and capturing his first championship in WCW. This victory wasn't just about a title, it was a statement. Mysterio had proven that cruiserweights weren't just filler, they could steal the show. And steal the show he did, night after night, against some of the best wrestlers in the world. His rivalries with wrestlers like Psychosis, Juventud Guerrera, and Ultimo Dragon took the cruiserweight division to new heights. Every match was a spectacle, filled with breathtaking dives, impossible counters, and moves that defied gravity. But one rivalry stood above them all: Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero was one of the most talented and charismatic wrestlers in WCW, but in 1997, he was also one of its most ruthless. As the reigning cruiserweight champion, Guerrero had turned into a cocky, mean-spirited villain, willing to do whatever it took to keep his title. At Halloween Havoc 1997, their rivalry reached its peak. The stakes were higher than ever. Mysterio had to put his mask on the line against Guerrero's championship. In Lucha Libre tradition, losing a mask was a massive disgrace, and fans feared that WCW might actually go through with it. What followed was one of the greatest matches in wrestling history. Guerrero brutalized Mysterio, targeting his back and limbs, trying to break him down. But Mysterio refused to stay down. He countered every attack with jaw-dropping athleticism, flipping out of power bombs, and turning suplexes into impossible hurricane ranas. Then, in a moment of pure magic, Mysterio reversed a top-rope powerbomb into a mid-air hurricane rana, pinning Guerrero and winning the Cruiserweight Championship. The crowd erupted. Even the announcers, usually focused on WCW's heavyweight stars, couldn't deny it. Rey Mysterio was something special. Despite his success, WCW was still a land of giants. While Mysterio thrived in the Cruiserweight division, the company's top stars were the likes of Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, and the Giant. The smaller wrestlers were rarely taken seriously by WCW's creative team, and Mysterio knew that if he wanted to break through, he'd have to prove himself against the heavyweights. Throughout 1998 and 1999, he did just that. Mysterio began taking on much larger opponents, using his speed to outmaneuver them in ways no one had seen before. He scored shocking victories over wrestlers like Bam Bam Bigelow and even Kevin Nash, proving that size didn't always matter in the ring. But in 1999, WCW made a decision that would change his career forever. At Super Brawl 9, Mysterio and his partner Conan faced Kevin Nash and Scott Hall in a mask versus hair match. The stipulation was clear: if Mysterio and Conan lost, Rey would have to unmask. Despite putting up a strong fight, Mysterio's team lost, and for the first time in his career, he was forced to reveal his face to the world. For many fans, this was devastating. In Lucha Libre culture, a mask is sacred. It represents a wrestler's identity, their legacy, and their honor. The decision to unmask Mysterio was widely criticized, and many felt WCW had stripped him of one of his most important assets. Even Mysterio himself hated it. Years later, he revealed in interviews that he never wanted to lose the mask, but had no choice. WCW management forced him to go through with it. Despite losing his mask, Mysterio adapted. He joined Conan and Billy Kidman to form the Filthy Animals, a rebellious, edgy faction that blended Lucha Libre with street culture. Ditching his traditional wrestling gear, Mysterio started wearing baggy pants, sunglasses, and bandanas, embracing a more casual, unmasked look. During this time, Mysterio began competing against even bigger opponents, showing that he wasn't just a cruiserweight, he could fight with the heavyweights too. He even defeated Scott Norton, a man twice his size, proving that he could hang with the best. But as 2000 rolled around, WCW was in chaos. Mismanagement, bad booking decisions, and backstage politics had sent the company into a downward spiral. The cruiserweight division, once a highlight of WCW programming, was no longer a priority. Mysterio still put on great matches, but it was clear that WCW didn't know what to do with him anymore. By March 2001, WCW was officially bought by WWE, and Mysterio, still under contract with Time Warner, wasn't part of the initial acquisition. For the first time in years, he was left without a major wrestling home. Though his WCW run ended in uncertainty, Mysterio's legacy had already been cemented. He had helped redefine what was possible in a wrestling ring, inspiring a generation of wrestlers who would follow in his footsteps. His influence could be seen in the rise of high flyers like AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, and Ricochet, wrestlers who might not have had a place in mainstream wrestling if Mysterio hadn't paved the way. In 2002, WWE came calling, and Mysterio made his long-awaited debut, this time with his mask back on. Over the next 2 decades, he would become one of WWE's biggest stars, winning world championships, headlining pay-per-views, and proving that Lucha Libre belonged on the biggest stage in the world. But for those who had watched him in WCW, there was always a special place in their hearts for the masked underdog who flipped into the ring in 1996 and changed wrestling forever.